They trained harder, fought longer, and loved louder. But the world wasn't always kind. From brutal headlines to online threats, these LGBTQ+ athletes weren't just battling opponents on the field, they were fighting hate off it. Some were booed, others lost sponsors, a few were told they'd ruin their sport just by existing, but none of them quit. Today on Rainbow Spotlight, we're shining a light on 10 fearless athletes who faced discrimination, rejection, and public backlash, and still chose to compete. Their stories are raw, powerful, and proof that pride is stronger than prejudice. These aren't just athletes, they're game changers. Let's dive into the stories that shook the world and inspired millions. Arthur Nory, from golden medals to living his truth. He's an Olympic medalist, a national hero, a gymnastics icon in Brazil. But for Arthur Nory, the biggest leap wasn't on the mat, it was within himself. For years, Arthur dazzled the world with his routines. Behind the scenes, though, he was hiding a truth he feared could ruin everything. In a sport known for its discipline and traditional values, he wondered, would they still cheer if they knew? Then in 2021, he posted one photo. No press release, no interview, just a soft, honest caption introducing his boyfriend, João. The world noticed and embraced him. Fans flooded his comments with love. Fellow athletes praised his courage, and the LGBTQ+ community found a new hero on the world stage. Arthur didn't just come out, he soared. Since then, he's become a fashion ambassador, graced the covers of GQ, and proven that authenticity is the true gold medal. Drop A if Arthur Nory's courage gave you hope. Colin Grafton, ice, elegance, and unspoken truths. Colin Grafton spent years perfecting his technique, dazzling audiences with grace, power, and charm on the ice. From competitive championships to dazzling TV moments on Dancing on Ice, he embodied poise and control. But behind the choreography, there was a side of him hidden, quiet, scared, and waiting to break free. Figure skating may celebrate beauty, but the pressure to conform is real. Colin feared that coming out would shift how fans, judges, and even colleagues saw him. Would his queerness overshadow his talent? In 2023, he finally let the world in. With one heartfelt post, he shared his truth and the skating world felt it. Support poured in, but so did whispers and criticism from conservative corners. Some called it a distraction. Colin called it liberation. He didn't just come out, he came alive. Since then, he's become a bold voice for LGBTQ+ athletes, mixing elegance with rebellion. From high-fashion campaigns to inspiring speeches, he's proving that authenticity is not a weakness. It's a superpower. Colin Grafton didn't just break the ice, he shattered it. Drop a if. Colin inspired you to stop hiding and start shining. Gus Kenworthy, from closet to Olympic podium. He was the all-American skier, the daredevil, the guy with the medals and charm, but Gus Kenworthy was also hiding a part of himself. As a freestyle skiing star, he worried that being openly gay would cost him everything: sponsors, respect, even his place on the Olympic team. So, he stayed silent. Until 2015. In a powerful ESPN interview, Gus came out to the world, and instantly, everything changed. There was praise, sure, but also backlash. He lost endorsements, faced ugly comments, but more importantly, he finally felt free. Since then, Gus hasn't looked back. He kissed his boyfriend at the 2018 Olympics on live TV, a moment broadcast around the world. He's starred in campaigns, spoken at pride events, and used his platform to push for LGBTQ+ inclusion in extreme sports. Gus didn't just come out. He carved a new path down the mountain, proving you can be bold, proud, and still one hell of a competitor. Drop a if Gus Kenworthy gave you the courage to be real. Markus Thormeyer, the swimmer who dove into his truth. Markus Thormeyer was already making waves as a top Canadian swimmer, but in 2020, he made a different kind of splash, coming out as gay in an essay that quickly went viral. Behind the goggles and medals, Markus had carried a secret for years. He feared judgment from his teammates, awkward conversations in the locker room, and losing the sport he loved. But the weight of hiding became heavier than any training set. So he spoke up. In his letter, he described the fear, the loneliness, and finally, the liberation of living truthfully. The response from the swimming community was overwhelmingly positive. Markus became a role model overnight. He didn't just come out. He showed young LGBTQ+ athletes that strength isn't just measured in speed, but in the courage to show up as your full self. Today, Markus continues to compete at an elite level, proving that authenticity and excellence are not mutually exclusive. Drop if Markus's courage helps you swim through life a little braver. Keegan Hirst, breaking stereotypes in rugby's toughest arena. Rugby doesn't do soft. That's what Keegan Hirst was taught. In locker rooms where masculinity was king, hiding your truth wasn't just common, it was survival. But Keegan was tired of surviving. In 2015, the British Rugby League star made history, becoming the first openly gay player in the sport. The media exploded. Some called him brave, others called it a distraction. He knew what he risked: his career, endorsements, maybe even his teammates. But for the first time, he felt free. He didn't leave the sport. He walked back onto that field, head high, shoulders back, tackling every stereotype with every play. Online abuse followed. So did doubt. But Keegan never backed down. He used the hate as fuel, the criticism as drive. More than just a rugby player, he became a symbol of defiance in one of the most masculine sports in the world. And he still believes this: being strong means being honest. Drop if Keegan Hirst showed you that bravery isn't about hitting harder. It's about living louder. Michael Sam, the NFL prospect who took the hardest hit in 2014, Michael Sam made history before he ever played a down in the NFL. The All-American defensive end from Missouri came out as gay just months before the NFL draft, becoming the first openly gay player to enter the league. It was a moment of courage that sent shockwaves through the sports world. But courage doesn't guarantee acceptance. Though he was once projected as a top pick, Michael dropped to the 7th round. When the St. Louis Rams drafted him, it was historic, but brief. He was cut before the season began. Another team signed him, then released him. The message was clear: his truth had come at a cost. Despite the setbacks, Michael never backed down. He kissed his boyfriend live on national TV. He kept training. He kept speaking up. And he kept showing LGBTQ+ youth that their identities are not liabilities. They are sources of power. He may not have had a long NFL career, but Michael Sam opened the door for future athletes. And he did it with his head held high. Drop A if Michael Sam's strength still inspires you today. Adam Rippon, the skater who dared to shine on his own terms. Ice skates. Adam Rippon didn't just skate, he soared. With grace, charisma, and unapologetic queerness, he took the ice by storm at the 2018 Winter Olympics and became the first openly gay U.S. male athlete to win a medal at the Winter Games. But getting there wasn't easy. For years, Adam hid who he was, afraid his identity would overshadow his sport. When he finally came out, he faced backlash not only from critics, but also from within the skating world. Coaches told him to tone it down. Commentators questioned his image, but Adam refused to dim his light. On the biggest stage of his life, he wore glitter, painted nails, and confidence that couldn't be ignored. He didn't just win bronze, he stole hearts. More than a medalist, Adam became a cultural icon. He roasted Mike Pence on national TV. He walked the Oscars' red carpet. He made queerness visible in a sport that had long demanded silence. Adam Rippon proved that authenticity isn't just beautiful, it's unbeatable. Drop if Adam taught you to own your truth, loud and proud. Josh Cavallo, the footballer who refused to stay silent. For years, men's professional football was one of the last places you'd expect to see LGBTQ+ representation. the locker room culture, the macho energy, the fear. Josh Cavallo lived that fear every single day. As a rising star in Australian football, Josh had everything to lose: his career, his teammates, his fans. So he hid. On the pitch, he gave it his all. Off the pitch, he battled anxiety, isolation, and the weight of a secret that threatened to break him. Then in 2021, he did something no active top-tier male footballer had ever done before. He came out. "I'm a footballer and I'm proud to be gay," he wrote. The world stopped. Then it roared. Support poured in from clubs, fans, and football legends across the globe. But hate came too: death threats, slurs, and online abuse. Josh stood tall through it all. Today, he's not just a midfielder. He's a symbol of bravery in a sport that desperately needed change. And every time he steps on the field, he proves that being true to yourself is the greatest victory of all. Drop a if Josh Cavallo's story inspires you to live out loud. Dutee Chand, the sprinter who refused to be erased. In India, where LGBTQ+ rights are still a battle, Dutee Chand stood alone on the starting line, with the weight of 2 fights on her shoulders, one for her identity and one for her right to even compete. Dutee's struggles began when she was banned from running due to high natural testosterone levels. She was humiliated, tested, and told she didn't qualify as a woman. But instead of giving up, she took her case to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and won. Then, in 2019, she came out as gay, becoming the first openly queer female athlete in India. The backlash was swift. Her village shunned her. Her family turned against her. But Dutee didn't flinch. She kept running, breaking records, representing India on the world stage, and inspiring a generation of queer youth in South Asia to dream louder. Her courage lit a path in a country where silence used to be the only option. Drop a if Dutee's story proves that fighting for who you are is always worth it. Fallon Fox, the fighter who faced the world alone. Fallon Fox didn't just fight in the cage. She fought the world outside of it. In 2013, Fallon made headlines as the first openly transgender fighter in professional MMA. What followed was a storm of hate the sport had never seen. Fighters refused to compete against her. Pundits mocked her. Death threats filled her inbox. But Fallon didn't flinch. She trained harder, pushed further, and proved again and again that she belonged. Her opponents may have questioned her, but her fists did the talking. And behind the strength was something deeper: the bravery to be fully, unapologetically herself. Every headline that tried to erase her only made her more visible. Fallon Fox didn't ask to be a symbol, but that's exactly what she became. For trans athletes, for LGBTQ+ fighters, for anyone who's been told you don't belong here. Today, she's retired from the cage, but her legacy punches harder than ever. She didn't just win fights, she changed the conversation. Drop a if Fallon Fox proved to you that fighting for who you are is the greatest victory. These 10 LGBTQ+ athletes didn't just face competition. They faced judgment, stereotypes, hate, and the crushing pressure to hide who they were. But they didn't back down. They stood tall. They ran, swam, kicked, and skated toward the truth, even when the world wasn't ready for it. Their stories remind us that courage isn't just about standing on a podium. Sometimes it's just about standing up and saying, "This is who I am." Because representation matters. Visibility saves lives. And every time an athlete like Josh Cavallo, Dutee Chand, or Adam Rippon chooses honesty over fear, they pave the way for a more inclusive future in sports. They may have faced hate, but they met it with pride. Which story inspired you the most? Drop their number in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more stories of strength, pride, and fearless authenticity, only on Rainbow Spotlight.